Hello and welcome to today's album review. Today we'll be taking a look at the classic 1978 album by Jethro Tull, Heavy Horses. The album was released on April 10th, 1978 and is now celebrating its 45th anniversary. If you're a fan of classic rock or progressive rock, this album is definitely worth checking out. Make sure you stick around to the end of the video because I will be revealing my top 3 songs from this album. The album Heavy Horses is often considered the second installment in a trio of folk rock albums released by Jethro Tull at the end of the 1970s, along with Songs from the Wood from 1977 and Stormwatch from 1979. Heavy Horses showcases the band's continued exploration of folk and progressive rock genres. Unlike the British folklore-inspired themes of Songs from the Wood, Heavy Horses takes a more grounded and realistic approach to country living. The album and its title track are dedicated to the hard-working ponies and horses of Great Britain. The album features a darker and more somber sound that complements its changed lyrical content. Heavy Horses was the first studio album recorded by Jethro Tull at Ian Anderson's newly constructed Maison Rouge studio in Fulham, London. The studio was built with Anderson's own funds and ownership. The album was mostly recorded at night as Anderson reserved daytime hours for potential business clients. The recording sessions were grueling for the band. Keyboardist Dee Palmer recalls writing diary entries and saying, I would start at 7 p.m. and go home at 7 a.m. However, the resulting album was a success, showcasing the band's talent for blending folk and progressive rock elements. Heavy Horses also marks the beginning of Anderson's vocal issues, which would eventually develop into chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. His vocals on some of the album tracks sound more nasal and gruff, particularly on the title track. Nevertheless, Anderson's distinctive voice and flute playing are still on full display throughout the album, making it a standout in Jethro Tull's discography. Let's talk about where some of the inspiration for the songs came from. Several of the album's tracks were directly influenced by Anderson's personal experiences at the estate, including And the Mouse Police Never Sleeps, which was partially inspired by his cat Mistletoe, No Lullaby, which was written as an anti-lullaby for his son, and Rover was particularly inspired by his dog Lupus. The lyrics of other tracks in the album, such as Weathercock and the title track Heavy Horses, paint a cold and practical picture of country living. According to Anderson, the title track is a lament for the passing of as working animals of those magnificent beasts, the heavy farm horses. The album also features tracks inspired by literature, such as One Brown Mouse, which was inspired by the Robert Burns poem To a Mouse, and Moths, which was inspired by the John le Carre novel The Naive and Sentimental Lover. Overall, Heavy Horses represents a departure from the fantastical and mythological themes of Songs from the Woods towards a more grounded, realistic perspective of country life. One of the standout tracks in the album, Heavy Horses, is a song written by Ian Anderson and performed by Jethro Tull. This tribute to horses features folk rock elements that rebelled against the musical trends of the late 1970s. Initially released as an album track, Heavy Horses has since become a live staple. It has appeared on several compilation albums. The song has also received positive reception from critics. Interestingly, Heavy Horses represented Anderson's attempt to go against the musical trends of the time, including punk rock and synth pop. He wanted to create an album that was more organic and acoustic in nature, and the song is a testament to that vision. One of the most memorable parts of the song is the orchestral midsection, which was co-written by Martin Barre at Anderson's request. The section also features a guitar solo by Barre, as well as a violin solo by Curved Air's Darrell Way. The combination of these elements creates a truly unique sound that has become a hallmark of Jethro Tull's music. Overall, Heavy Horses is a standout track in the album and a testament to Jethro Tull's ability to create music that transcends genres and musical trends. The album kicks off with And the Mouse Police Never Sleeps, a whimsical and upbeat track with a catchy melody and some great flute work by Ian Anderson. This was a pretty good opening track and not only brought back their folk rock sound but also incorporated some progressive rock elements as well. Next up is Acres Wild, a standout track on the album with a driving rhythm and a memorable chorus. The acoustic guitar work is fantastic. This is one of the more folksy sounding tracks, but I also thought it was a very good song. No Lullaby is a darker and more introspective song. It has some heavier guitar sounds played by Martin Barre. This one is slower and more atmospheric than some of the others. Ian Anderson's flute playing is in top form. It's a pretty good deep cut at the album. Moths is another standout track on the album. It has a dreamy atmosphere and intricate acoustic guitar and flute interplay. The song is one of the most underrated tracks. It's an example of their soft acoustic folk rock sound that they have been known to play. This track is one of the most memorable tracks on the album. Journeyman has some funky rhythms and a little different than some of the other songs. It's still a classic Jethro Tull song. It's a pretty good deep cut. They incorporate some proggier elements, but still a catchy and accessible song. Rover is another song that has that classic Jethro Tull sound. This one has an intro that sounds very folksy, but the rest of the song has lots of different sounds, such as Ian Anderson's flute playing and Martin Barre's electric guitar playing. One Brown Mouse is very reminiscent of Jethro Tull sound from the 1970s. It's a relaxing song with some electric guitar playing by Martin Barre and flute playing by Ian Anderson. Weathercock is a softer folk rock song that maintains the same sound as most of the songs in the album. The song is very memorable. It has a flute solo and some orchestral sounds and gives it a very fuller sound. So in 2003, the album was re-released with a few bonus tracks. So they are Living in These Hard Times, a laid-back folk rock song with some flute melodies by Ian Anderson, and is backed by some acoustic guitar strumming and a very relaxing atmosphere. And Broadford Bazaar, a very folksy song, sounds like minstrel music in my opinion. I guess it's more of a stripped-down song with mostly acoustic guitars and vocals and accompanied by some flute melodies. So that was our review of Jethro Tull's Heavy Horses. It's an amazing album that stands out the test of time and has some fantastic track. Now, as promised, here are my top 3 songs from the album. At number 3, I have No Lullaby. I am just a fan of Martin Barre's guitar playing on this track. I just really like it. At number 2 is Heavy Horses. It's the fan favorite. It's the live staple, but I felt that this song blends their progressive rock side with like this long epic track, and it kind of also brings in that down-to-earth folk rock side as well. But my favorite song on the album is Moths. It's just one of the lesser-known tracks from the 70s period. I think that this song just showcases what this band is all about. What are your favorite songs from this album? Let me know in the comments below. I did a ranking of every Jethro Tull album. I have that linked right there. If you're interested, check that out. Thanks for watching. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe. See you in the next one.